You're looking at the PuraFlo Peat Septic filter. I'm going to tell you about how we're using these in the state of Delaware and what they're doing for the residents of the first state. These peat systems are designed for soils that don't have a lot of depth that's suited for septic systems. Peat systems are giving Delaware residents an option against a big sand mound that sticks out of the ground. In Delaware, certain areas are required to have pre-treatment or nitrogen reduction. These peat systems are providing our Delaware residents with another option for pre-treatment if it's required for their property. It all starts with a stone bed. We install a stone bed according to the specifications on the permit, and then we line these units up right where they're called for by the engineered permit. Wastewater is pumped out to the peat units and into the top of the units where there's a series of pipes that distributes the water across the peat nice and evenly. Then the wastewater settles through the peat, which is where the bacteria and the pathogens are removed, and it comes out the holes on the bottom of the peat unit. On denitrification systems, some of the wastewater is collected at the bottom of the unit and sent in a pipe out the outlet, which you'll see here, and back to the septic tank to recycle through the system again. Recycling the wastewater like this reduces the overall nitrogen that goes into the ground. By running the wastewater through the peat moss, the overall pathogens and bacteria are reduced dramatically. In the state of Delaware, these peat units allow your overall system size to be reduced by as much as 33%. So here's a view of the inside, the actual peat moss, and we're going to show you part of one of the pipes that distributes the wastewater into the peat. In Delaware's market, these peat systems cost a little more than an elevated sand mound as far as installation cost. However, your property value won't be as negatively affected as it would with a sand mound, and you're helping the environment by sending cleaner wastewater into the ground. Now, we prefer the PuraFlo brand because the peat moss is very durable and can last well over a decade. There's many different manufacturers and models of peat units across the country, but in Delaware, the PuraFlo Peat unit is the most commonly used. Every peat system is going to have its own design criteria, and it's going to change from state to state, manufacturer to manufacturer. In Delaware, it's one PuraFlo peat unit per bedroom in the house or on the property that the system is servicing. In the first state, peat systems are considered innovative and alternative. What that means is that they have to have a service contract for the life of the system. A qualified service professional has to come out once a year and inspect the system to make sure it's operating the way it was designed. Here you can see the main pipe coming from the house and going to the septic tank, and this one is a denitrifying system, so you can see the return pipe there that's going to eventually go back out to the peat units. That's going to allow the water that comes from the bottom of the peat units, some of it, to recycle back into the septic tank. Here you see the pump tank, and once we set the pump inside the pump tank, that transmission line right there will take all the wastewater over to the peat units. Then you can see the little fittings that go into the peat units, and they send water up into the top into the series of pipes that distributes the wastewater in the peat moss. These peat units can be great alternatives to large, ugly sand mounds that bring down property values. However, it's important that they're designed properly and installed properly. And ultimately, we're sending cleaner wastewater into the ground in a smaller, better looking space.